Yes, please. Thank you so much. All right. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Happy Friday to everybody in Southeast Asia and this side of the world. And good morning to everybody currently back home in America. Uh, Majo Travel. I'm here with Philippines Extremes. We're both Americans currently residing in the Philippines, and we're going to discuss today a little bit about our backgrounds, of where we come from, and some of our history. Another topic is why we chose to retire and or live in the Philippines, and our thoughts between differences between America and the Philippines. So that's in the same vein as why we chose to retire here. And if anybody who joins has any question answer, we can do some Q&A towards the end. So since I'm the host, I'll start by answering the questions and let Philippines Extremes uh, answer his questions about who he is and why he chose. So first, let's talk about our backgrounds. Now we'll answer those two first, and then we'll discuss the next. How does that sound? So first, let's talk about our backgrounds. All right, loud and clear.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries. That's good.
Just working out the kinks,
Testing one, two, three.
right?
And yeah, sorry. What time is it? For those who are there, sorry for the little delay. We had a little human error. Two older men trying to work the social media out. So yes, back on the topic. So our background. So I'll start. My name is Matthew, and I am originally from California. I was born in San Francisco and lived in that area of the Bay Area for the first 19 years of my life. I enlisted in the U.S. Navy at 19 years old and did 8 years in the military and traveled pretty much all over the world of Southeast Asia, Australia, and parts of the Middle East. In that 8 years of being in the military, uh, I'm not going to get into all details about experiences in the military, but it just made me a very angry person in life of having to be told what to do by other grown men and having to do things that I necessarily didn't want to do. The beauty of the for this valuable lesson, realize really how as a veteran too, the last uh, men of the with the various
Sure. Well, I don't have anything real extensive like that, but I grew up. My name is Ben, um, and I'm also from the United States. I grew up in Oregon um, and lived there a lot of my life. Well, most of my life, with little jaunts in between. I lived in New Mexico for a couple of years in my late teens, early 20s. Um, and then, yeah, I had, in that time of my life, I was kind of a renegade. I was involved in music and the partying. My parents kicked me out of the house when I was 16. I got the proverbial son, you need to cut that hair and go to church, or you can't live here anymore. So like I said, I was kind of a rebel, so I chose to not live there anymore. But at 16, of course, I didn't have any resources. And in Oregon, they had a lot of homeless youth at the time, and you could get like benefits and stuff. So I did that. Until I tricked some guy into hiring me at a gas station. Um, at the time, had to be 18 to work there. I was underage, but I told him I was of age, and I worked there until I got off the streets. And then uh, I moved to New Mexico, and my girlfriend was going to college there, and we stayed there for a couple years, and then we moved back to Oregon. And from there, I just got regular jobs, until I got a better job when I was like in my mid 20s, doing property management. So I spent several years, like I think 12 or 13 years, being a property manager, and that was pretty good income. I had multiple accounts and did that for a long time. But on the side, I was always doing mining. So I've done a lot of mining in my life. Taken me from Oregon, California, New Mexico, Montana, Arizona, Alaska, um, doing that. And it's funny because back then I was afraid to fly. So I had a trip where I went to Alaska when I was about in my early to mid 30s. And when we were up there, we had all kinds of problems happen. The truck that I had broke down, and the only way for me to get home was to hop on an airplane. So I was nervous about it, but I got on it and I thought it was great. I was like, well, I've been afraid like my whole life to fly on an airplane. So after that, it opened my eyes up to travel, and I'm like, I need to go places. I need to do stuff, because this is phenomenal. Flying on planes is a joke. It's simple. So then after that, I decided to like start traveling around the world, and eventually I thought, I kind of want to settle down, meet somebody, and where should I go? I was going to go to Thailand, and instead of Thailand, somebody said, why not go to the Philippines? And I didn't even know anything about the Philippines. Like I'd never really heard about it other than, in the 80s, there was Marcos, and she had all those shoes and everything. And she was on TV for that. And that's all I knew about the Philippines. But I decided to go check out the Philippines. And that's how I pretty much came to the Philippines the first time. This was, almost 11 years ago. And I eventually just fell in love with the Philippines. So that's kind of like a summary of my whole life, I guess.
I'll admit too, since you mentioned it, I was too, and my parents. yeah, we didn't have the best. I came back again when they said you either got to join the military or, like you said, I'm very thankful because I got to see, you know, a lot of the world and enjoy traveling, and traveling such a beautiful experience that you can do in your life because, like you said, growing up in Oregon or me in California, we're just like a little speck on this planet. But when we realize how much bigger and get exposed to different cultures, whether it's in America, the States, or different countries, it helps you kind of retune yourself and at least try to be a better person. It doesn't work for everybody, but if you're a spiritual person, it kind of starts clicking with you, in my opinion, after a while. And it's kind of funny. We have a little bit of a similar background growing up, and yeah, even me too. Like all those travels I've done around the world, not everywhere, but like I said, and especially in Southeast Asia, not one time have I been to Philippines. I've been to Japan, Korea, Guam, Singapore, Thailand a few times, Australia, in the Southeast Asia region, but never once came to Philippines. And it's funny too. Like I want to ask you this on your background because you mentioned how you came to the Philippines, right? About 11 years ago. So me growing up in California, I was exposed to a lot of Filipinos at a very young age, and the culture, the food, everything. Like my best friend growing up from third grade till I joined the military was Filipino. So, and then in the military, there's a whole bunch, especially in the Navy, a whole bunch of Filipinos. All the countries I just mentioned to, a lot of Filipinos in the country. So it's funny, like I never been, but I'm exposed to them my whole
Uh,
life. And being married to a Filipina for 20 years this year. I've never been to the Philippines until this year, till 4 months ago. And like even back in San Diego, I work closely with a lot of the Filipino community there too. So it all kind of like makes sense now, and I'm very thankful though. At a young age, I was exposed to a lot of Filipinos. So you growing up in Oregon, I don't think there's as many Filipinos as there is in California, correct? So
Correct. Yeah.
so it's just kind of interesting. Like you said, someone mentioned Philippines to you about Philippines to you, correct?
Yeah.
And that's just weird. Like, why Philippines out of all countries you chose, especially you don't have any sort of exposure to the Filipino culture, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, I was living in Portland, Oregon, which back then it was not like it is now. It was more like a small town, like a small big city, but it wasn't all crime ridden and full of homeless. And I mean, there was homeless, but it wasn't a huge issue. And we had a big Vietnamese community, and so I knew a lot of not a lot of Vietnamese. They kind of kept to themselves, um, but yeah, the person that mentioned the Philippines to me was actually some guy who was one of my friends who was talking to some Filipino on Facebook. So he just mentioned it to me because I said I think I'm going to go to Thailand, and he's like, oh yeah, well, I'm talking to this Filipina, and you should check it out. And so I ended up going and looking on Facebook and Philippines groups, but at the time, I wasn't really necessarily looking to like go meet a girl. I wanted to get some dental work done because I had heard that it was inexpensive, They call it like dental tourism. So I wanted to do that, and I also read that the Philippines had a lot of mining. So I thought, well, I want to check those things out, and if there's a girl, then okay, even better. But it kind of turned out more into the girl in the end than it turned out to be dental work and mining. I did get dental work, but I went to the wrong kind of dentist, and I got a bunch of bad work done. Um, and I met kind of I guess you could say, not the greatest example of a Filipina. So yeah, but I didn't really get to do any mining, which by the way turns out to be illegal anyways. So that's probably a good thing. But yeah, that's how I ended up in the Philippines and how I found out about the Philippines.
That's good. You've been here pretty much, like you said, on and off 11 years. That's a long time. Like, and
Well, I ended up marrying. I stayed in the Philippines for 2 years approximately, and then I went to Guam because I wanted to bring that girl out of the Philippines, but there's a visa process and it's pretty extensive and it costs a lot of money and stuff like that. And I didn't really want to go back to the United States because it's like a 16-hour flight and it's brutal. And I thought, well, where can I go that's relatively close? And Guam is right, hop, skip, and a jump, right?
yes,
And you can get jobs there. And figured I'll go there and I'll do the paperwork from there, and see what happens. So that's what I did. I went to Guam from here, and since Guam was so close and I was able to come back and forth a lot, it was like a $200, no, $250 plane ride round trip if you got a good deal. So yeah, it enabled me to go back and forth a lot. So I stayed in the Philippines like 2 years, the first trip, and then multiple trips back and forth, and then went back to her town and stayed there for about another year, and then we just back and forth for a while. So being involved with the Filipina who was born here and raised here, we were really submersed in the culture. So which I fell in love with. I fell in love with it, even though that relationship turned incredibly sour. It didn't change my perspective on the country or the people.
agree. And you've been here a lot longer than I have. A lot longer. So, but in the 4 months that coming up that I've been here, I can agree. Not every sour apple will kill the whole tree, as they say, right? So, there is a few like that everywhere. Even in America, there's bad people, but you don't want that to ruin your joy and your life.
Right.
So, but in the 4 months I've been here, I really enjoy it, and I like the people. Very friendly. You can walk down the street pretty much anywhere. No, this is into this perfect segue into the next topic of why we chose to retire here. Perfect, and or live here. So, this no crime, just like in America. You have people begging for money, the homeless, people uh, on drugs all day in America on the street, trash everywhere, and you know, for us as foreigners, it is cheaper than even, especially in California. It's like super. California and New York are probably the two most expensive states to live in America.
Yeah.
And so for someone like myself planning to retire here fully next year, this is a heck of a lot cheaper place to settle down and retire, especially since my wife is from here. So that helps too with, as they say, boodling, because if she speaks the language in a local, it doesn't really happen as often. As just the honest truth that happens. But it's not, in my opinion, as like in America when people do that, right? Do you agree? Like if they try scamming you and taking advantage, and you see how life is, like the homeless, the drugs, and then you're in that box and in that mindset, you're just angry about it. It makes you angry, especially, if you are a very highly spiritual person and you always want to see good in the world, it adds to that anger a little bit comparing to something like here in a country like in Philippines, or like you were mentioning, even Thailand, you're thinking about going to. A lot of expats go to Vietnam, different places in Southeast Asia, just to get away from all of that life back home in America and that cost of living, and mostly people just being ungrateful. People in Philippines maybe have like this much, but they're so grateful comparing to America. Americans have this much, or they may have, if they can't afford to live, free medical, food stamps, EBT. They have a lot more jobs. It's not. I've noticed in this country, it's hard to find jobs here. You need like even a degree to work in Wilcon, right?
Yeah.
Wilcon's kind of like Home Depot back in America, right? You need a college degree, 4-year college degree, just to get a job like that.
Yeah.
Or most of them, you need a high school diploma, or they have a little bit of age discrimination. I've noticed here in the country. Not as many like in America. You have people working till they're 60 something, 70 years old, or even retiring from their job and getting like a part time job at Walmart as a greeter or something when they're already in their retirement age. Comparing to here, people don't have as much. But the beauty of it here is too, they help each other. The families help each other a lot more here comparing to, like you mentioned, you had a disagreement with your family. That happens a lot in America, unfortunately, with many families. And we're not as close with each other in our own families back in America. So a lot of big differences of, the more I'm here, the more I see clearly now, and eating healthier and getting away from all that toxicity back in our homeland. Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful place and a lot of beautiful like places to go, a lot of nice people too. Really good if you want to get a pension and then retire somewhere. But overall, I'm out like you. I'm falling in love more with this country, and the more I'm immersed into it, and the more I travel around, and I want to travel more around once I'm fully retired here next year, because I have the benefit of that since I have a pension from the military, so I can afford to do that and not have to go back to America all the time to look for work or a job or so on. So, do you agree? Do you have similarities with what I said, or do you disagree, or what are your own thoughts about why you then chose to retire in the Philippines and comparing to life back in America?
Well, yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said. Hold on, I got a crazy. Um, Everything that you said, I agree with. Although I'm not in the retirement phase yet, I why I chose to come here um, this time around was because I wanted to. Before, I didn't have the intention to meet a woman or a wife, but that just kind of ended up what happened. But this time, I I wanted that because what didn't occur with the last one, I still wanted, like when we got together with that woman, we talked about having kids, and we talked about doing all these big things, and none of those things happened. So my desire for those aspects of life didn't erode. I still wanted to experience those things, even though I was getting older. And so I said, in my own head, I said, you know, if I don't figure it out by like 52 or something, then just forget about it, put it out of your mind. But after that relationship with that woman fell apart, we lived in a really, really small town, like extremely small town, population less than 300. So it was very rural. There was no crime. There was no drugs. There was none of that stuff. It was a cowboy community, you know. So after that relationship fell apart, then I had to move out of there, and I went to the city, and it was a nightmare. This was, you know, COVID was winding down, or COVID was going on. I stayed in that small town, and then when COVID was winding down, it turned out that I really, since it was such a small community, and she was really active in the community, it turned out to not be a very good place for me to live anymore. So I had no choice but to leave. I could have stayed, but I decided, no, I'm just going to split. This is just overbearing on my brain. You know, everybody hates me here, so it's time for me to move on. So I went to Portland, and Portland was completely decimated. They'd already had the riots. They'd had they burned the buildings. They did all these terrible things, and I showed up, you know, at 8 o'clock at night, and I had thousands of dollars worth of stuff in my car, and I was going to stay in a hotel. And I took one look around at this hotel, and there were 2 cars that had their windows smashed out. So I'm like, that's going to be me if I rent this hotel and come out the next day. All my stuff's going to be stolen. I mean, it was that bad. So I ended up sleeping in my car, and for that night, and I parked in my old neighborhood when I grew up in. And I thought, you know, that's a pretty cool community. I'll go there. It's safe. It was not safe anymore. It was. I had homeless people milling around my car. Some guy knocking on my windows, you know, and they were just everywhere. And it was a nightmare. So I decided, well, I'm going to head south, go down I-5, and head to the mountains and go mining. And up there in the mountains where I used to mine, it was just all homeless people, and there was trash everywhere, and they were doing drugs, and you know, they had like methamphetamine camps where all these tweakers were just around. And so I was having a terrible, terrible time. I ended up going up into Washington, and I got a job up there, which turned out to be pretty lucrative. Like, I just fell into it, distributing food, actually, and I got paid per job, and yeah, I just made like more money than I was used to, real fast. And I'd already been talking to my wife now for quite a while, and I lived a life. I should say this because it's pretty convoluted. Like from the time, well, my job before, in the relationship that I had with the first Filipina, was relatively alternative. Okay, I'll just say that. So my lifestyle wasn't very godly, I guess, and she and I didn't really have a religious foundation. But when things started to get really, really bad, I started to lean on God. And my relationship with him became really, really strong. And so when I was up in Washington, there were a lot of homeless people, lots and lots of homeless people. So I started do my deliveries, but I would have like time in between, and I'd see all these homeless people, and so I started witnessing to them. So, and at the time I was praying, you know, if the Lord can bring me, you know, I'll go wherever he wants me to go, and I'm a open vessel for wherever he leads me. And if it's his will for me to meet someone in the Philippines, then so be it. So I'll do that. But I didn't really have a ton of money, and I said, I put it in your hands, God. So then all of a sudden, all these things started happening. Like I got the good job. Money was coming to me faster than I ever imagined, and it just put all of these things into place. And so that's how I ended up here, because with Lily, we were saying, I would tell her, I'm getting really blessed. So when I come to the Philippines, I have to give back. I felt like God was pulling me to come to the Philippines, not only for her, he was putting us together, but he was also blessing me with all this extra income so that I could bless others. So yeah, that's pretty much how I feel like I was led here, and it was all just a structured plan, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, that's how I ended up here. Now, as far as retiring, I'm not in that position yet. I own property in that small town, and I just rented it out, so it's paying for itself. I'm still paying on it; it's still a mortgage. So I don't have a pension like you, but I can go right back anytime I want to and do that same job, make money really fast, and come back. So that's pretty much where I'm at with it, until I pay off that property or I sell it, because I have equity in it now and I could sell it. And then I also have a investment, kind of like a 401. It's not a 401k, but it's something similar to that. To when I'm 57, I can cash that in and then I'll be set. So I'm not there yet, but I have the ability to probably live here like 12, 13, 14 months on, go back, work 4 months, come back until I can, sell my property and cash in on that investment. So yeah.
That's still not bad though. I'm not laughing at you, but to be out of that country for 12 to 13 months and rejuvenate and get your energy back and stay right and that positive mindset, and then have to go back for 3 or 4 months. It's good though, you have that ability compared to always being stuck there. So
Yeah.
that's a really good option that you have, and most people don't even have that option available to them either,
Right.
to be able to leave like that. So that's great. And like you mentioned with God, He's very powerful and works in very, very mysterious ways. And
Yeah.
you know, I've noticed personally, even in my own life, and it says it in the Bible or the different religious books that if the man is out of order and not with God and the relationship, everything else falls out of place, right? And since when you stated you got him back in your life again, look how all those different blessings and started happening in your life, and look, you even met a new wife, and that's all ordained by God, and it is. Nothing else can do that. No one else has the power to do that. Even, for example, like you, look, you even had a bad relationship. Most people don't do this either, but that's how God works. You had a bad relationship marriage with a Filipina before, and look, he even led you back to another Filipina who was better for you. See that? Most people, what who I've heard of, some, not all, but some people, if they had a bad experience with someone from a different culture or race and background, they don't want to mess with those people ever again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's just the power of what God can do in our lives if we stay faithful to Him. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. And you were mentioning about Portland. I remember during COVID hearing about all those riots going on the news, and wow. Because I remember too, as a kid, going with my parents to Portland, Seattle, up and down the five, different places on the West Coast. And it was a very beautiful city a long time ago, like in the 80s and 90s. It
Yeah.
was beautiful.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at that on the news, I was just like, oh man, I was shocked by what was occurring and how they're even allowing that to occur in our own country, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just so disheartening to just, yeah, I don't want to be around that anymore.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You know, I was talking with my, in the same vein too, because I was talking to my younger son. So he's going to be 21 this year. So he's in America right now working and going to school. But you know, over the years, because I'm very thankful too, because you know, like it teaches you in the religious books and the Bible to break the generational curses or to build generational wealth for your family, not just with money, right, but knowledge, wisdom, many other things to help your future generations. So anyway, I'm thankful that when I, you know, that I have my pension, I was able to, you know, it's not enough, but I was able to retire my wife because I feel God brought me and my wife together, even though I wasn't necessarily right up here all the time because my
Yeah.
experience in the military. But
Hmm.
she is a strong, like she came from Philippines. She grew up here, so she learned how to be a survivor at a young age too, and be strong and independent and super intelligent and knows how to take care of the man in the family. So she helped to raise really good children. We have two boys, right? So they're both
Yeah.
men now. So anyway, if I didn't have that pension to retire her, think we we would have been like most average Americans, maybe having to work one or two jobs each just to take care of the family, and
Yeah.
that takes the order out of your family and God. If wife is having comparing to the old days, right? Like
Right.
man takes care of the house, the man works, makes the money, does everything, while the woman takes care of the house and the children and the food and prepares the meals and all of that. So I was thankful God allowed us to do that for my children. So anyway, now I was talking once again. My younger son, you know, he saw a lot of stuff too, especially being the younger sibling. Uh, they're usually the babies, right? So anyway, he's very intellectual when it comes to many things too. And I was talking to him earlier. He's like, Dad, I'm really thankful I can talk to these different things and various subjects on on this type of level, right? Because right, most 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds only care what Jay Z's doing or their celebrities doing or go hanging out or chilling. And I told him, I said, you know, when I was younger, the parents would always tell you, I'm the parent and be quiet and listen to me.
Right.
Or you try to talk to people because I knew a lot about how, who's this? Hello, who's this? Can't see who that was. Hello, whoever joined and commented. Thank you.
Mira 10 words, it says. Mira 10
Mira,
words.
10 words. Hello. Thank you for joining. Yeah, nice. Thank you. Where are you from? So while he or she is commenting, uh, I'm very thankful because what I told him when I was at a young age, I couldn't talk to anybody like this because most people were, oh, hello, we're at in Philippines. So most people, when we were young, we couldn't talk to about spirituality or how things really were at a young age because we're considered like crazy, tin foil hat person, et cetera, right? So he's
Right.
very his friends about the different subjects that matters that we discuss in life and or
Mm.
politics or religion or business or how the world really operates, right? On a
Right.
spiritual level. So he's like, thankful. I'm very thankful, Father, that I can talk to you about this and see different things at a young age and experience. And I, first be thankful to God that He introduced your mother to me and helped change that because Filipinos are very intelligent people in my opinion, and Filipinos in general are very in, ingenuitive. They can create something out of nothing. So
Oh yeah.
so you know, we're talking to him about what we're trying to do to set things up here, and once everything falls into place, and so he was telling us today, let me just hustle real hard for 2 years by working and doing what I have to do. Oh yes, a lot of places in Laguna. I'm currently in Calamba. I've been to
Laguna.
Jose Rizal's house, a few different hot springs. I'm gonna go trekking in Mount McKeeling soon. Uh, Plenty of places to eat. I love food.
Yeah, you
I
sure
love
do.
Filipino food and Asian food. So you're from Laguna, I'm assuming, or so yeah, he sees what we've done and what we're doing, and thankful for my sacrifice I made in the military. And I explained to him too. You should be always thankful to your mother because she does a lot of things for you and cares and loves for you, and got out of, no offense to the Filipinos, but got out of the country to provide a better future for you guys, for her children, right?
Right. Yeah.
Comparing to, like I mentioned earlier, it's difficult to get a good paying salary here comparing to America. Most Filipinos here make like 400 pesos a day to 800 pesos a day, depending where they live and what they do.
Yeah.
Comparing to America, way more than that we make.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so yeah, I had a really good, blessed conversation. Hello, Damon McNoble, Desmond Angel. Hello, Desmond Angel. Hopefully you're having a blessed day, and thank you for joining our live. Where are you from? Are you from Philippines? Oh yes, wonderful vacation. I can't wait to retire next year. I love Philippines, and my friend here Ben is in Cebu, an area, and
Cebu.
he loves the Philippines. Great, you have a really great country and very nice
Best country
people
on
here.
earth. I had to come outside because it's too hot, and without that fan on.
I know.
Phew.
I went to my room because one, it was hot, and my wife, because night the mosquitoes, so she closed the door. So the better reception is in my room, and then in my room I have an AC, so it's perfect.
Oh, you have AC? See, I don't have AC. Whew.
Yeah, my wife kind of spoiled, but
That's okay. She
she
deserves it.
deserves it. She's worked hard for us, so I'm very blessed to have her.
Awesome.
And but yeah, like I said, to continue with my son, I'm very thankful at such a young age. Cebu is near Dumaguete. Yes, I believe so, right, Ben?
Dumaguete. I think it's kind of far, but it's probably closer.
I think it's
Dumaguete is
like in
probably
the middle.
closer.
I think
Huh?
it's somewhere in the middle of you and but kind of
Yeah.
in between Luzon and Cebu, Visaya area. It's like in between. Are you from Dumaguete? Dumaguete?
Dumaguete.
Dumaguete? I'm still trying to learn these.
Oh,
Sorry if
me
I'm
too.
butchering.
Me too.
But yeah, I'm very thankful and blessed to have young men, sons who not so far, about 8 hours travel. Well, that's not
8 hours.
bad. I think it's closer to uh, what's that place called that just blew up the volcano? What's that place called?
Ayawan. Where's that?
Yeah, I don't know either. What island is that on? Thank you for joining us. Yeah, like it's so nice to see your children kind of follow in your footsteps and find God at a really young age and being able to think on a very, very mature level. It makes me proud as a father that, I did something good in my life, but
Yeah.
based on all my past previous experience. That's the beautiful thing too about God and
Oh, for sure.
spirituality. Everything is like you know, they say a lesson, but everything, in my opinion, is more of a blessing, even if it is bad, because it helps you to learn and grow.
Mhm.
If you get in that right mindset. Also, I do live stream 9 a.m. Oh, nice.
We'll have to check it out.
Can you do you mind sending me the link to my Facebook page? I would like to join at 9 a.m. Please. That would be super cool. To see what your topic of conversation is. And later on too, if you want, we can always do live streams with each other too, because there's actual different software, but you can have up to 6 people on the panel for different discussions. So I'd encourage you to, if you want, we can live stream together, and that'll be really cool to build more relationship between us expats, us Americans, and the Filipinos. Kind of like what the president is doing. He's rebuilding those relationships again. And a lot of the Filipinos back home in San Diego, where I live, they actually like working with Americans, and vice versa. I like working with the Filipinos as well. I know Silong. Yeah, I used to live in Cavite. I lived there my first 3 months here. I lived in Gentry, General Trias, but now I'm in Laguna. Meow meow meow.
Ran outside.
Yes. So Ben, anything else you want to add regarding living in or retiring or in Philippines?
Well, I mean, for others that are in the States or they're in, it's hot in here. The UK or somewhere. Even the UK is turning bad, I guess, from what I've heard from people that I talked to.
Correct.
And Australia went nuts during the pandemic, and their government got kind of tyrannical. So, hey, so the Philippines, and I say this a lot on my channel. When you move here, and like you said earlier, to have the ability to come here like I'm doing for stints, it removes all of that baggage that you collect, and a lot of it you touched on too earlier when you were saying, it makes you kind of angry and you don't realize it, or maybe you do realize it, but there are things that you don't realize about living there. But once you come here, all of that stuff just kind of starts floating off of your shoulders. And eventually, your whole mentality changes. You see the differences when you were saying, they have this much, and in the States they have this much, but the ones with this much, their attitudes are significantly better or different or more positive or
Correct.
what, and that comes with the culture here. And also the culture here, has a foundation of morals. You ride on a jeepney that has pictures of "In God We Trust" and things like that. Our money says that in the States, but it's just a gimmick. But here it's actually something that's part of the culture, and you feel it. You feel that. You really do. So as far as anybody who is thinking about retiring here, or like I say, even if you can't retire here yet, just coming here in portions, until you get to that point where you can retire, will significantly improve your outlook, your level of happiness, and give you a sense of what life truly is about, because living here kind of gives you that. So,
True.
yeah.
And here's something I asked a Filipino the other day, or maybe a week ago, but anyway, because right in America, I remember during the C-19, they shut down all churches. And I started
Yeah.
thinking, wow, that's crazy. That's taking, like you said, in God we trust, but the devil, the opposite of God is the love of money. So that's what their love. Unfortunately, yeah, they took God is not really in America, in my opinion. It's not in the country, and they're slowly taking it out and putting all these different. I don't want to get into different topics that may offend someone, but they're really perverting the Bible and doing things against God a lot in that country. But like you said, here in this country, I asked the Filipino, I said, did the churches close during C-19 here? Oh no, they're all open. Oh wow, I was really surprised to hear that. And because you can see, like you mentioned, everybody has like a good, not everybody, but 90% of the people, 95% of the people in this country have a real good spirit about them and are very friendly, humble, approachable. And like you said, you can see it in the jeepneys, or even when you're walking in the subdivisions or different houses, they have a God or a picture of Mary or some type of holy figure. And it's just so cool to see. And me and my wife even mentioned this, that it's we really can feel the presence of God in this country, and and it feels good, and like you said, all these other countries that are westernized, they're kind of in the same boat as America. A lot of stabbing, like what is it? You said UK, they're like stabbing, they outlawed guns, but they're like stabbing each other and macheting
Yeah.
each other or something like that, beating each other up over like a little nonsense.
Mhm.
Or like in America, you have the school shootings and movie theater or concert shootings. Here, it's not blasted in your face every single day. All that negativity and ungodly stuff blasted in your face all day, every day. Here, a
Yeah.
lot more simplified of a life, and it's beautiful. That back to my son, he was telling me too that he wants to raise his children when he's ready outside of America, in Philippines or another type of country like this. Especially, like I said, because his family is from here, his mother's from here, bloodline is from here, right? But
Do
it's
your
just so
kids speak?
cool. Say
Sorry.
again?
I was just gonna ask, do your kids speak the language here?
Oh no, no, they do not.
No. Oh.
Their mom tried teaching them, but at a young age, but they would always laugh about it and think that it's funny to give them the language. And now they kind of wish they knew more, or wish they knew. They knew like very, 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 very basic. I
Hmm.
know a lot more than them, but it
Oh,
happens.
really?
Children, Filipinos I met growing up in America, sometimes they don't even know the language because they
Right.
grew up there, or they become so Americanized they forget, where their family came from.
Yeah.
That's one thing that kind of used to disappoint my wife back in America. She see a lot of the Filipinos, and then when they get money or have a good life and a big house and this, all the materialistic stuff, but their attitude is more like an American. And my wife says, "See, they forget where they came from. They
Yeah.
forget that they were once poor in the country, and now they're succeeding, and they don't remember where they came from."
Yeah.
That's the honest
So
truth.
true. There's a lot of well, the United States has such a power over
Right.
people in that sense. It's like you said,
Hello, Susan.
a money driven environment. And we would go with my ex. We would, since we lived in such a small place, there was no Filipinos at all. But there's groups on Facebook and stuff, so they'd have events, and we'd kind of plan to go to one. And all it really would turn out to be is a comparison. How guapo is your Asawa? What's his age? What's his job? Look at this new handbag that I have, you know. And it was just, and she didn't like to go to him. We stopped going to him because it really was just, you know, a competition. So unfortunately, and that's why I made that video, why Filipinos shouldn't move to the United States, is because they don't grasp how it can actually really change you, and a lot of times for the worse. It doesn't happen to everybody, but it happens to a lot of them because that influence is it's strong, you know, very strong.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. You know, in San Diego, you know how many Filipinos live in San Diego? Take a guess.
I would say probably 1 million or more.
No, not that many. Not that
Oh
many.
no. I know there's a lot in California. It's like the most populated
Yeah,
Filipino.
it's in California, yes, but in San Diego alone. So, like, I know a lot of the leaders in the Filipino communities and people who do businesses, etc.
Yeah.
From various groups I'm connected to. But in an event I attended last year for my nonprofit. So, you know, I had a table in the event, I had a booth, but they stated that there was like 300, little over 300 something thousand Filipinos alone just in San Diego. So there's a very high population of Filipinos. So they always do like Filipino festivals and events. Uh, Usually just for Filipino events alone, think they have like two big ones. One July 30th to celebrate. They call it Filipino American Friendship Festival. So basically, because you know they have the two different Independence days. Oh, my battery's getting low. Let me grab my charger. But anyway, they have two Filipino Independence Days, right? One is from the Spanish. That's the July 4th, like we celebrate in America, and then the other one is from the when Americans liberated them, July 30th, I believe it is. So they celebrate it on July 30th and have a friendship festival there. It's like a big event and booths and selling all the stuff. I'll if I'm there next year, I won't be there in July. But there's another one usually in October. So I'll live stream or do a vlog on that one so people can see. And they have like Filipino food and merchandise and different Filipino owned businesses at the events too, or like nurses, and it's pretty cool and being connected to that. And then they have like a lot, like three, one, two, three, like four big Filipino stores. They call them seafood cities, where they sell all the Filipino products. They have like restaurants with Filipino food, Chow Kings, and then we got my charger. But yeah, there's so many Filipinos, so it's kind of good in a way because even though my wife is there, it feels kind of in a way that she's here because of all the Filipinos and the different Filipino restaurants and stores that I stayed in. But like you said, sometimes you don't connect too much with the community because, like you said, they it's like a competition, and you don't want to involve in that. Yeah, let me charge it. But yeah, I think though in California alone, there's probably close to like a million. I would say a million Filipinos just alone in
Yeah.
California. So, and most of them are either like in the nursing, computer, engineering, or military careers.
Yeah.
And even like, cause yeah, that's how most of the Filipinos came. And even in America, they're some of the most hardworking people in those different jobs. They're the hardest
Yeah.
working people in my
Yeah.
opinion. Very hard working.
Yeah, that's one thing that I noticed as well is even though the American culture is so toxic, Filipinos, they come from a background where they have to deal with so much stuff here. I mean, like you said, if you want a job here, jobs are few and far between, and when you get one, you have to tolerate everything just to keep it. And the work schedule here is so much more stringent. They're working 6, sometimes 7 days a week, and they're like where I was before. I would watch these guys build apartments, and they had a 6-day work week, 12 hours a day in the doing construction in the hot sun, mixing concrete, carrying sandbags on their, I mean, cement bags, 2 cement bags, which I don't even know how many kilos those weigh, but massive amounts. They put them on their heads and they walk up the stairs all day long, back and forth, back and forth. And all the jobs here are very labor intensive and difficult and for low pay. So when they get over to the United States, it's like a cakewalk for a lot of them. And I knew some Filipinos that would say to me, they'd see homeless people and they'd be like, what's wrong with that person? It's they can change their lives. They don't realize, the pull of the drugs and the mental health and all that stuff. But they would genuinely be confused by why there would be anybody who didn't have things in the United States, because they come from such a hard background that once they get there, they are successful. And if they stay long enough at a company, they're going to be in management eventually, because they're used to putting up with a lot of junk, and they can move up that ladder. So most Filipinos, when they go to the States, they end up being extremely successful.
Yes, that's true. And even like on education level, they're so disciplined as well, especially the parents, towards the children, and they repeat the cycle through their family. Go
Mhm.
get your education, get a degree, get your schooling. Comparing to most American cultures,
Yeah.
education is that important. If you're 18, usually bye bye. Get out
Yeah.
the house. Find a job when you're 16. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just interesting, right? Experiencing the different cultures and immersing yourself in it, and
Mhm.
finding and not in a negative aspect, but you find good in everything. Try to find good in all the
Yeah.
different avenues that God puts you through, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, it's wow. Yeah, like you said though, like the the workers even like work anywhere between 9 and 12 hour days, like 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week, and only make about 400 or 500 pesos. That's crazy.
Yeah. Brutal.
You have these little Americans whining about different stuff in America and taking things for granted and not wanting to work hard. It's yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
not good to be around. Not good to live in. So yeah, any people living in the Western culture, like Ben always says in his videos, get out while you can.
That's right. As soon as you can, get the heck out of there.
Get around some positive thinking, like-minded, happier people. Change your life forever.
It's true.
Oh my goodness. That's one thing too. I realized, like, okay, it used to really piss me off. I'll be honest. So, you know, growing up in America, everything is, I don't know how it was in Oregon, but in California, it seemed like a lot more fast paced. Work, home, work, home, work, home, work, home, basically, right?
Yeah.
And then especially when I was in the military. So, little short story. If they said be at work at 0800, which is 8 o'clock in the morning, and you show up at 8 o'clock in the morning, you're considered late. They
Yeah.
want you to always be 15 minutes early and move, everything fast, everything scheduled. So, being, they called it brainwashing, but a lot of other, a good terminology that's better, in my opinion, is learned helplessness.
Right.
So, it took me a long time to readjust because people would move so slow, always late, and I'd get really angry because I was brainwashed for all that years. Move. Charge up the hill if they tell you to charge up the hill with M6, M60 shooting at you. Example, right? So back home in America, some of my Filipino friends, they call it Filipino time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they're late, I'm not gonna wait around. I'm gone already. Or people in general too.
Right.
Hi, I'm not waiting for you because I'm not gonna wait because I'm used to that. Then they get upset to me why I didn't wait for them because you didn't show up on time.
Right.
Sorry. But now that I've been in the Philippines and exposed to it more, it changed my mindset and made me take a step back in my own life.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing all this different stuff in America with this chairman, like I mentioned, with the chairman and doing this and doing that. And a lot of people were ungrateful and using me because I was a good person. Oh, okay. But like I said, now that I'm here and learn about Filipino time, like I said, take the step back, open my mind more. I really don't need that stuff anymore.
Right.
Slow down, go at a slower pace, enjoy life, be happier. That stuff will still be there. It's not going to go away. It won't ever go away.
Uh, you're
So
just making me think.
I've learned, even while being here, like sometimes me and my wife will have a little conversation like, man, everything's kind of slow. But then we have a little conversation again. We're in Philippines. What do we need to rush for? We don't have a job. We're retired. We're happy.
Yeah.
Enjoy ourselves. And
Exactly.
it makes us that much more at peace comparing to always on the move, on the go, on the go, on the go. So now I
Right.
understand now truly about Filipino time now that I'm even here. But it's a
Yeah.
blessing. Cool
It,
because it changes your mindset. It really does. Like it slows down time a lot, in my opinion, and it's a
mhm.
beautiful thing.
Yes. You'll hear a lot of guys complain about it. Like, I don't know, like I've spent a lot of time, like before I came to the Philippines the first time, I was always going online, and my kind of my knowledge about the Philippines came from, like Facebook groups and forums online. And you would hear all of these, this was years and years ago, all these complaints about the Filipino time. Like you go to a restaurant and you order something on the menu and you're waiting, you order it and you're waiting the whole time for it to be prepared, and then they'll bring the dish for whoever else is with you, and they'll say, "I'm sorry, sir, we're out of stock on your dish," but they didn't come and tell you or tell you right away. So things like that would really set people off, or even just maybe it would take a little bit longer or whatever. But like you said, if you're here in the Philippines, what's the point of getting upset about those things? Because you don't have a job, you don't have anything pulling you. Like if you're in the States, you're on a schedule. You have You have things you have to do, things to go to, and if somebody, if the service really makes you late, well then that will frustrate you. But here, what's there to be frustrated about? But I did a lot of dental work this time when I got here, and I admit it, I would get a little bit frustrated with my dentist because he would schedule me for, he'd say 3 o'clock, for example. So I'd show up. A couple of times I showed up at his scheduled time, and he says to me, "Ben, I have to go get lunch. I'll be back." I'm sitting in his office, and he goes off and he goes and eats lunch, and then comes back at like 3:45, 4 o'clock, and then he does the work. And that happened a few times, so I had to kind of adjust to that. I don't know if that's really Filipino time, but that happened quite a bit. So the dental experience was, and one thing that would happen too, he'd schedule me for a time, and he'd say, "Be here at this time," and I'd always show up, and he would never be there. And he'd show up like 3 o'clock was my appointment. He'd show up at 3:30, and so I got used to, or I started to try to just show up at 3:30. But I swear, every time that I would show up at 3:30, he'd be calling me, "Where are you?" Without fail, I was like, "What, dude?" So I could never really figure out, the sweet spot on that. But yeah, that was a little bit weird, annoying in a sense. But I didn't get angry about it. I really have nothing to do, like you said. So, but that was a little bit. If that happened to you in the United States, you'd be freaking out about it because it's that kind of stuff never happens. But here, it was kind of funny to me, more funny than frustrating.
Yeah, always, I've been learning too over these years, humor, because God is a very humorous person. Even he's very humorous, as to say, he's not a person, but so instead of being angry, I just laugh about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And what's there to be upset and complain about? That's just gonna make yourself more miserable, make those around you miserable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
but like my life that I've lived, it probably made it a little more difficult. Even Americans back home on time used to really upset me because I think because the military aspect of my life, because like I said, it kind of brainwashes you. So even my wife would be like, "Why are you upset? Hey Joe, hey Mahal, we're supposed to be in this party, or we're supposed to be somewhere at 2 o'clock. Guess what? You're getting ready at 2 o'clock."
Right, yeah, they start getting ready at 2. It's like, what are you
Hurry
doing?
up. We're gonna be late to the appointment. We're gonna be late to this. We're gonna do like this. What are you getting upset for? It's you to tell me because of the military. You're not military anymore, but I'm brainwashed. So I had to break the cycle, and it took a
Yeah.
very long time.
I don't think it's not just the military though. It's anything. If you're in business, like with the property management that I did,
Yeah.
you had a schedule. If you had an appointment, you had to be there by that time. If the person didn't show up, by
True.
2:15 and he was supposed to be there at 2, you're out the door, and you're less likely to want to deal with that person. So it's just a structure in America is like that. But like you said, when my ex, she got her first job, and she was supposed to start at 1 o'clock or something like that, and she started getting ready at like 10 to 1, makeup and all that stuff, and I'm like, "Dude, what are you doing? We gotta go." And she's like, "It's fine." I'm like, "No, it's not fine." And so she was late her first day by like 30 minutes. And in America, that makes you look bad, right? But it's funny, she kind of got her coworkers to adapt to this Filipino time thing. She would never show up to work on time, but since she was such a good worker, and she would often stay late anyways, they didn't care after a while. So she kind of changed things in that sense for her own little community there, but yeah, Filipino time.
If you are, in my opinion, if you show up late but you bust your butt during those 8-9 hours that you're there, cool. I can let that go. I can let that slide. Because if you're busting your butt, right on. But
Yeah,
if you're showing up late and I have to do your job for you, oh yeah, you're definitely gonna hear something from me.
sure, yeah.
And I'll probably be the one getting in trouble. But I'm glad I don't have to worry about that anymore and start to really enjoy life now because life's short. The older we get, we realize more that life is short and we value things and family and time and everything a lot more, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Because we may have another, depending the person's age. Let's say you're 40, you may have another 20 to 50, maybe if you're lucky, 60 years left. If you're lucky to
yeah,
make it 100 on this earth, right?
maybe.
And I'm the type. One of my old mentors, it says in the Bible too, to leave your legacy before you leave. Leave a legacy before you leave this
Mm-hmm.
rock.
Right.
And I I finally feel like I found my true purpose maybe a few years ago, and now that I'm here, it makes even more sense what my
Mm-hmm.
true purpose is. And like you, spread the good word, spread the good news, and share, the beautiful things that God has to offer and the blessings, and
Yeah,
try to help others along the journey. Even though you can't help everyone, but try to help people along the way as well as we can, just to make a little impact while we're still here, even if it's a little one. 'Cause all they say is all it may take is one person, right?
right.
You never know who that one person is.
Yeah, it's a ripple effect. You never know what you might do. How that ripple might grow into a big wave someday. You
Correct.
never see it, but
That may
that's
be
not your
three.
purpose.
Yeah, that may be like 3 generations down. That we're a big.
Right.
We don't know. It's not our time. It's His time.
Exactly. And that's kind of the takeaway that I have from my first relationship is that you know her family was extremely poor. Their kids were judged in school. They didn't have
Wow.
money, so in the Philippines, you got to give gifts to your teachers and things like that to kind of get advancement and gain status in school. And if you have no status, then you don't get as much attention. So your education isn't as good. So what even though the relationship went sour, um, their lives changed significantly by the support that we provided. So I know, I mean, those kids were great. They were, wonderful kids with good hearts and, good nature and everything. So I know that even though the relationship was completely toxic and ruined my life, it really did. There were positives. I'll never be able to see them. I'll never know what comes of their lives, but I know that I personally helped them in ways that will have an effect for generations.
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
so that's the takeaway for me from that, and I'm glad for that.
Yes. Yes. It makes you sleep better at night, knowing that you made an impact in someone's life by being a good person,
Yeah,
right? And
that's right.
that's part of what my mission is, to try to bring that out in more people. It may be difficult. That's a slight part of my mission, to bring the light out in other people.
Yeah,
Because I notice the more I go through this spiritual journey, I've always had a real bright light, and the devil would try to dim it down. But now
Right.
that I'm so mature in my spiritual journey now, you can't touch me. Like I feel untouchable now from the devil. He's so under my feet now. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
feeling. And I want to try to bring others along that journey so they can see the light and experience that. Like I said, it's hard. You can't reach
Yeah.
everyone, but
Yeah.
that's one thing. I think I told you before, but I want the viewers to hear this too. Is I think it was when you commented on my honest truth about Philippines. You made a lot of comments because people were being negative and being negative towards the Philippines, and you were just correcting them. And while I was just reading the comment, I said, "Oh, I kind of like this guy." Just from the get go, just from your comment, and then I watched some more of your videos. So this was like 3 months ago, approximately, because I've only been posting for 3 months now. I came here 4 months almost. But anyway, so watching your videos over time, having a few little conversations, over Messenger,
Yeah.
I saw from the beginning that you were an intellectual man. You had the light too, that, and I think that's kind of God steered us towards each other too. I think he did that for a reason because he knows we're
Sure.
both very similar in our thinking, in our ways, and both on our spiritual maturity. To wanting to help and bring others along the same journey as we can, even though we can't financially all the time or give them a lot of information. Sometimes it just goes in one ear and out the other ear, unfortunately.
Right.
Like you said, if it takes one person, who knows, that could be one of your children's children, or one of your children's friends, or one of your ex-wife family's friends,
Right.
teaching their children, and boom, it make a whole, like start a revolution, basically,
Sure. Yeah.
And I think I mentioned to you too, doing with what I do in America with mental health. I want to help. When I can become financially set, hopefully through this YouTube, God willing, provide more mental health services around the world in the ways that I've learned.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I think to, for the full spectrum of to be a happier person in life, it's not just
Mm-hmm.
about money. Because look at all those rich people who've committed suicide
Yeah.
or
Right.
done whatever they've done or drugged out or whatever.
Yeah.
Or hit rock bottom and stand at rock bottom because of alcohol. Way that is part of it, financial, but the physical, but the biggest ones is mental and spirituality. Because if you're missing one of those four components, you're gonna be out of tune. You're not gonna be a happy person. And especially like I said, in general, not just this country, but other countries similar who aren't Western world, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have the finances, but they're happy. But they may deal with an abusive relationship or an alcoholic of children, especially.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
Inside, maybe they're not okay. And then help them because, like I said, there is a lot of we discussed. There is a lot of spirituality and God in this country,
Mm-hmm.
but if we can just fine tune that a little more too in this country and other countries around the world, it will help. I think make the world a much better place, in my opinion. So that's part of what I want to do, and God has shown me in the vision of the spiritual journey of with my knowledge and skills that I learned of what I need to do for His purpose to help more people too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
That was pretty deep.
Getting deep up in here.
Getting deep, but it's the honest truth, and I really want to help people in that type of ways as I can. But like I said, it'll take finances, and God willing, my YouTube can blow up. I can be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's
And
it's entirely possible. Like
correct.
the guy that kind of he invited me to his live stream, and he had at the time like 45,000 subscribers. But if you look back just 2 years ago, in one of his posts on July 29th of 2021, he was saying, "Come on, guys, I'm almost to 1,000 subscribers." So in less than 2 years, he exploded. So um, that is entirely possible. I think
It
it's
takes
just
time.
consistency. It's consistency. Um, it's frequent posting, and having good content, that people can follow along with, and you get that ball rolling, and the sky can be the limit. Especially, after you get a certain amount of subscribers, that attracts other people too. They're like, why does this guy have so many subscribers? Let's check it out. And if you have good examples, for people to look at, then they'll probably be more likely to subscribe to you too. So
Yeah,
I
for sure.
definitely, I definitely feel that, as I progress forward, I'll be able to be, I don't want to say super successful at it, but I think that I'll be able to make a good dent in my finances doing this YouTube stuff. But it's fun. It really is. It really is. It is. It gets you out. It gets you out in the community. It gets you being social and experiencing more things. People love to see the camera, so they're friendly and they get talk. I mean, a lot of people. Some people shy away from it, but a
Correct.
lot of people, their personality comes out. You get to see that positive side of them, and it makes you feel good. So
Hello, whoever joined, whoever's watching.
it's a good experience. It's really enjoyable.
I agree on everything you just said, and on top of that, meet other people living in different parts of the world, or different parts of Philippines. Like we met each other, we seem to get along and click, and a few other people I met on this who are small YouTubers on this little journey, and excuse me, and then it keeps you busy, it keeps you sane,
Yeah.
instead of wanting to focus on nonsense. It keeps your mind busy. You gotta, like you said, you go out in the community, you talk with people, you help people if you can, whatever whatever our niche is or whatever we're doing, or eating good food, experiencing different parts, you know, uh, making a video, editing that video, taking time
Yeah.
in the back office, doing lives like this. You know, it's really great interaction comparing to, like I said, focusing on what's going on in the news or what's going on in the politics or what Beyonce did to Jay-Z. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's another beautiful thing I love about this YouTube is keeps you sane and keeps you busy. Because if
Yeah.
this is a very powerful tool for good and bad, right?
Right.
'Cause if you have too much time on your hands, you're gonna want to think about your mind's very powerful, and if you don't focus on something positive, your mind can play tricks on you, and then that's where you start doing bad things to
Right.
yourself or other people. Comparing to this YouTube's fun, we keep our minds sharp and hey, what are we gonna do? Think about what are we gonna do in the next video? Oh, how's Ben doing today? Oh, how's whatever doing? How's this person
Right.
doing? Cool,
Yeah.
fun,
Yeah. Well,
and
it's there's a quote, and I always butcher it, but it goes something like, you get your body physically fit so you can defend yourself from others, but you get your mind mentally strong so you can defend it from yourself.
I've heard that before. I've heard that before.
Yeah,
Yes, correct though.
it's true. It's
Yeah,
totally true. So
yes, and that's that's unfortunately how people fall into part of the reason they fall into more of a mental health state because of their mind, and then they get don't. We can go deep in the rabbit hole in this topic, but we don't. I don't want to take your whole night, but
I got nothing to. I'm not going anywhere. I'm in the Philippines. Come on.
but yes, even okay. We'll discuss it. The medications back in America, comparing to here, they have it, but they don't shove it down our throats. Overly medicating people.
Oh
So
yeah.
imagine now, let's say Ben comes to me. What's a good Ben comes to me because his wife, ex-wife, blah 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 blah, right? Oh, tell me more, Ben. Oh, it sounds like you have depression.
Yeah. Here's some
Okay,
Prozac.
let me do some blood tests on you first. Okay, it looks like this, and this. Okay, I'm gonna recommend Xanax to you.
Mhm.
Just throwing out a prescription. Okay,
Yeah.
Ben starts taking his Xanax because Ben can't sleep. He's depressed. He's whatever's wrong with him. So Ben takes Xanax for 4 months. Ben goes back to the doctor 4 months later. I'm okay. I'm sleeping better. I'm not thinking about it. But little does Ben know he's in a fog. He doesn't have a clear state of mind. He now is starting to have worse depression. He is starting to get addicted to the Xanax. Now, because of the addiction, maybe Ben had a nerve problem, maybe sciatica because of an injury he had. So, because of the mental health, it magnifies on the physical side of things,
Yeah.
right? So now Ben now needs to take some value for his back pain or his nerve pain. So now Ben comes back to the psychologist in his primary care and the other doctor for his back 6 months later. 2 months later. So now 6 months is Ben's on these different medications. Now Ben is feeling suicidal. Ben is complaining about constipation, a rapid heartbeat, um, and arthritis. Just throwing some stuff out there.
Right.
So instead of the doctor actually listening, these different doctors listening, they want to prescribe Ben more medication.
Yep.
So Ben is so addicted to the medication and can't get off, and it's not working for him anymore. So not only is he taking all these different medications now, maybe Ben went to start doing heroin, or he started mixing alcohol with those different medications because it's not helping him, and it's not healing him the correct way. And Ben isn't eating healthy enough foods because the foods in America are either made in a lab or injected with certain pesticides. And then Ben is still having an unhappy marriage or whatever. And Ben now sees that there's riots in his home state, and everybody is bashing the president, and there's all this other extra stuff going on. So Ben tries taking a whole bunch of pills at one time to end his life.
Yeah.
Comparing to this, the comparison between America and countries like this. Comparing to if the doctors really listen to Ben, okay, Ben, what you really need is to get out of the country for a little bit or go move somewhere else, eat more properly, exercise,
Exercise. Something,
breathe.
yeah. Mhm.
The important is get off these meds, eat healthy because you have a brain here and a brain in your gut, and they both help work off of each other. And then you put all those foreign medications and substances in your body, which isn't normal to our body because it's foreign. So that's making Ben more sick. And maybe Ben needs take a week off work and take a vacation and go swim in the ocean somewhere warm.
Mhm.
Look, man, have you ever been to? Can you afford to go to Philippines? Or example. Can you afford to go to Philippines? No, the plane ticket and maybe I can't fly a long distance. Well, have you ever been to Florida or have you ever been to somewhere closer, Mexico? You
Right.
spend $400 and go swim in some warm water for a week,
Mhm.
and then come back and tell me how you really feel. How are you feeling better after exercising, doing all the other stuff that is supposed to heal you the right way, comparing to getting us more sick. And then now, like I said, with Philippines is the good thing. So many people help each other here, especially the families. Look, if you go to the market, everything has seeds in it, right? Even the Bible says eat fruits and vegetables mostly and stuff that has seeds in it. Or if you ever heard of Dr. Sebi, right? He was a natural
Yeah.
holistic healer, and what did they do to him? But anyway, so the food is a lot more organic and not organic to the land and healthier for you. So if you're eating that and you're not overly medicated, of course they don't have a lot of. They do give people medication, but God is here, eating more healthier, helping each other. They live in a natural, warm environment, climate, which is better for you mentally and physically to be exposed in that. The sun is good for you for vitamin D. So if you're in the sun all day, that helps you. So basically, everything that involves with God and doing the things the right way is in
Right.
this country and other third world countries that should be able to help you. So if we can teach a lot more people that and guide them along the way and educate them and teach them how the world really operates. I'm not going to say the name, but we mentioned it before on Messenger. You know who I'm talking about, but um, who pervert the Bible. But
Yeah.
you know, the world's pretty deep in the knowledge that they hide from us people, and That's why I would say people in the Philippines are very blessed in many ways to live here, because they don't have to be exposed to all that stuff like I just mentioned back in America.
Definitely.
It gets pretty deep there, really deep there. And
Yeah.
then they hide it by different distractions, right? To throw it in
Yep.
your face to not make you grow. But yeah, I went pretty deep, my friend.
Hey, no, I could further that discussion with even more additives to it for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
they
I was keeping it kind of PG, but yeah. So
yeah, right. Yeah, that's the thing, you know. In this medium, we kind of have to worry about, I guess, what other people might think about it. But in the
yes,
same token, I don't really care, you know, because I am who I am, and you know, I know there's enough people out there that that these things would resonate with, and so maybe it might exclude a certain type of people, but then it'll also attract other type of people too. So
yeah. But we work for the truth. It's okay.
yeah, exactly.
Justice and truth. So yeah, I really don't care what people think or have to say either. And if other people who are watching or plan to watch, or yeah, if you resonate with the things that we discussed, contact Ben, Philippines Extremes, or myself. And if you feel like you're alone out there and you don't have anyone to talk to where you live about deep topics or just anything in general, yeah, feel free to contact us, right?
Yeah,
We're more than able to share deeper knowledge and information or anything you want to discuss, because I feel in this time right now I'm pretty knowledgeable in a lot of things,
yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
areas.
Some good experience to share with others for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, that's why I put my email on the top of my YouTube page so that people can contact me. And I've had a few people already contact me. And then, you know, I made the Facebook page that you suggested, um, which I didn't have before, but you have your Facebook page. And so I opened that up, and I've had, you know, some people contact me through that. And I'm also a member of another expat group, and same thing there. Have people contact me through that. So,
Great.
but I think that the group that I created, um, and I changed the name recently, so it's Philippines Living and Travel Info, I think, which is not the greatest name. It needs, I think, it needs to have the word expat in it. Um, but when if we can get that going, and I can make you a moderator in that, by the way. But right now
Okay.
there's like nobody really in the group, so there's nothing to moderate. But if it grows, you know, then you need moderation, because you know people will
Right.
come along and they'll post like porn links and spam stuff and whatnot. So, but that's a good resource too, or the
Correct.
online things like that, so people can
So, so
get over you through
yeah,
it and then learn.
awesome, and thank you for creating that. So, question then: do you want to keep the page just for expats, or you want it for Filipinos here because they may want to be involved with what we're trying to do too and collaborate or connect with us? They may be bloggers as well or create content creators.
Yeah, I mean, it's open to everyone, and that's why I put the name. And I hope I'm not butchering the name, but Philippines Living, or Living in the Philippines. What is the name? I don't remember the.
Uh,
I got it all messed up. But you know, Filipinos, that includes Filipinos too, and vloggers. See, that's the thing. In a lot of groups on Facebook, they don't allow self promotion, and of course, that's kind of why I joined the group, because I wanted to self promote. and get my YouTube channel some exposure. And so, the moderation of the other groups is unattractive to me. So this group will have no filter on people promoting their YouTube channel. But that can also kind of backfire too. I think there needs to be some kind of limit, because you can't like just be posting every day like, oh, I uploaded this video today. And, so if somebody's posting that every day, that will kind of distract from the other discussions. So I think there needs to be some kind of limit as to how frequent people promote themselves, but they're going to have the ability to at least promote themselves, within reason. But yeah, it's open to everybody, and maybe I need to figure out a better name for it. Filipino American, or something like that. I don't know. I'll kick it around and see. If you have any suggestions on the name, that would be good too. But all these things are good resources. So I want it to be about information, people be able to discuss things too, and also promote themselves.
Sweet. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you're not moving.
Oh, yeah. I went to go to the Facebook, and that's probably why I froze. But the channel is called Philippines. Oh, let me go back. Philippines Extremes created for, like he said, anybody, whether you're in Philippines or not, to join. I think that's a good idea. And like you said, it has to have some sort of structure.
Yeah.
I agree. So it's not overcrowded and overpowering, and you're gonna annoy people. Why did my screen? Maybe if I. Oh, there we go. There we go. I'm back.
You're back.
Yay! But yeah, that's awesome, and hopefully that page will blow up too, and we can share some dialogue and content and collaboration with each other. That's always fun, especially if we're in a country like Philippines where everything's kind of cheap and close to travel to.
Yeah.
Whether when I come back too, I was telling my wife I want to take a little trip down to Cebu to visit you, and I guess some other people, since I've created this channel, reaching out if I'm gonna ever go to Cebu, or I know a few other people in Cebu, Visaya area through mutual friends back in America. So yeah, it's a beautiful country to travel to.
Yeah.
I haven't been everywhere, but from what I've seen, very beautiful country.
Yeah, I want to see more of it also. There's a lot of areas that I could go on a ferry to from here. But now my wife's pregnant and stuff, and finances and things, it creates stumbling blocks to it. But I want to there's a guy that's inviting me to go to Mindanao, to Davao. And then up in Bohol, there's another guy that wants me to go visit him. He's a vlogger, a small YouTube channel. And the guy, what's that guy in Dumageddon, the dude that, Every Man Has a Story?
Oh yeah.
He wants me, or he told me that if I wanted to, he would interview me. And that might be a good thing, because that's a lot of exposure. He has a lot of subscribers. But it's like, somebody came on here earlier and said it's like 8 hours. I think it's more than that. I think it's like 12 hours to go there. And then round trip plane tickets, it's like, $30K for two people. Yeah. So I don't really want to spend that. I'll go on a ferry, but if you go on a ferry to Dumageddon, it's like 3 days or some crap. So
that would be pretty cool though.
Yeah, well, it would be, but I don't think I'm geared up to spend 3 days on a ferry.
That's why you never
We'll
joined
see.
the Navy.
Yeah. Well, my dad was in the Navy. That's close enough.
I know, just joking around. You're not a salty sailor.
Well, my dad was in the Navy, and so when he got out of the Navy, he started a business with his dad, who fought in World War II in the Army. But that has nothing to do with what I'm about to say. But so they were both veterans, and they kind of came to business together. But they had a boating business, so they would fix boats, do the woodwork, and they'd do upholstery and things like that. So we, as kids, grew up, working on boats and playing on boats, water skiing and fishing and everything. So I'm pretty seafaring in that sense. But dude, man, you hear about all over the years. I've heard of so many ferry boats crashing, and like
Really?
all these people, get lost at sea and things. So I'm like, yeah, I'll go on a short ferry ride, but I don't want to do like a 36-hour one. But I'm sure it would be great and nothing would happen. But I don't think it's in the cards for me right now. Like you said, when you come back, then you'll be more apt to explore around.
Yeah.
But I need to do a little bit of exploring this time, just so I'm not like such a homebody. You're in the Philippines. I mean, like you were in Cavite, and now you're in Laguna. So you got to see two different kind of areas, whereas I've just been in Cebu. But I gotta see something else. Leyte isn't very far from here, so I've been thinking about hauling her and I over to Leyte for a day and seeing it and then coming back, because it's like 4 hours or something. So
Well, that's not bad. And then you have all those beautiful beaches within close proximity to you as well. Yeah, you're in a good spot down there.
Yeah.
I am up here too, I guess I can say too. But yes, to not
Yeah.
travel. That's my point. To not travel and explore different locations in your area.
How far away are you from Baguio? Do you know?
Oh wow,
Is it pretty far?
probably 9 to 11 hours, maybe. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
really? Okay.
Yeah, 'cause it's all the way up northern Luzon. I'm
Hmm.
just right south of Manila, basically. I call
Uh,
Laguna and Cavite South Manila.
so how far is it to Manila then?
With no traffic, maybe 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh, I didn't realize you were that close.
But with traffic, you never know how traffic can be. Maybe 2 hours, an hour and a
Yeah,
half,
right.
an hour. Just depends. But yeah, I'm pretty close. Like my friend who I was in the Navy with, who's been out here for 6 years, uh, he basically calls Cavite and Laguna South Manila. He said he's thinking that eventually it won't even be called Cavite
Really? Yeah.
Laguna anymore, because everybody, is moving from Manila to the province area close enough to Manila because it's
Right.
a little cheaper and out of the big city. But yeah, he
Yeah.
thinks it's eventually going to be called South Manila. That's just his opinion.
Right.
That's just
Well,
how
that's kind of
close of
how
a
I.
proximity.
Yeah. Sorry. That's how I kind of feel about this area too. Like they say, Cebu City, and then they say Mandaue, Lapu-Lapu, and Cordoba. But really, Cebu City it all kind of flows in together. Like the only thing that separates Cebu City from Cordoba, for example, is a bridge. You go right across the bridge, 8 minutes, and from Cordoba, you're in Cebu City. Or you drive literally 5 minutes, and you're in Lapu-Lapu. So it's Cordova, Lapu-Lapu, and then Mandaue. and there's 3 bridges, and all the bridges take you right over into Cebu. So to me, it's like when I lived in Portland, I moved to Milwaukee, and Portland and Milwaukee are basically the same, you know.
They
So I
are.
feel that way about Cordova and Cebu City. People aren't familiar with Cordova so much because they haven't heard of it, but they've heard of Mandaue and they've heard of especially Lapu-Lapu. But what they don't realize is the new bridge they built right here, which is called the CC Lex. It's the longest bridge in the Philippines, and it's pretty. I mean, it's a huge project they made. I mean, it goes, you know, all the way across the ocean. You know, huge bridge. Um, but it's all super interconnected. People aren't familiar with Cordova so much as they are the other ones, but really it's the same,
So
in
it
my
kind of
opinion.
reminds me like, San Francisco Bay Area. That's what I'm envisioning right now when you say that. Because you've been there before, correct?
Yeah,
So right, if you go across the Golden Gate Bridge, right, that takes you from San Francisco to what is it, Novato or San Rafael? I forgot. It's been a while since I've been home. And then if you cross the other bridge from north of San Francisco, it's the Richmond Bridge. So basically, it'll take you from that area to Richmond, and then you have the Bay Bridge, which takes you pretty much from San Francisco. Or let me show you from San Francisco to Oakland. So it sounds very similar in a way how everything's in close
yeah,
proximity to bridges.
yeah. It's all interconnected. Yeah, I've been to. In fact, when I was homeless, when I was a kid, I hitchhiked from Portland down to San Francisco, and I stayed in People's Park, right there near Haight and Ashbury.
Very,
No, I
yeah.
had to experience all that. I was like a hippie kind of dude back then. In fact, most of my life I was kind of a hippie type dude. But yeah, I had to go to People's Park and do that whole Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison kind of thing. And I slept in People's Park for a couple weeks. But it's funny, there was a huge fire. Like that was like, I want to say like 1990 or 91 or something like that, and the whole city like caught on fire. And I was like, oh, I gotta go home. This is crazy because there was like ashes flying everywhere and whatever. But yeah, I experienced that in Oakland and San Francisco a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah,
so I know that.
yeah, but yeah, it sounds very similar. And back to Cebu though, like I've only heard of in America only Cebu City and Lapu-Lapu. I never even heard of, like you said, Cordova and what
Yeah.
was the place that you mentioned? The other one?
Oh, Mandaue.
The Mandaue. Mandaue. So
Mandaue.
I always thought it was just all a long time ago. I'm sure it was all just like Cebu City, wasn't it? And then they just made different cities. They named it different cities. I'm
I
sure.
don't know.
I don't know.
Probably, yeah, I would imagine.
Yes, but that's just how big of a city Cebu is. Like it's like a smaller Manila, and I heard there's a lot of businesses there as well. That's the city part. I don't know the rest of the area. Like where you live, it looks more like a province and countryside, right?
Yeah, well, I got really lucky. I mean, or blessed, I should say, in that sense, because where my apartment is, it seems like I'm in the country. You know, that's because this area of the barangay hasn't really been developed. So from the main road, they started building, you know, that way from it, and they just kept going. So, and their plan is to continue outward. There's a huge field behind my apartment, and that field is for sale. So they're eventually going to sell it and develop it. But I'd say like we're probably like 1.5, almost 2 miles from the main. Well, it's probably like a mile from the main road in the barangay.
Yeah.
So that 1 mile away it's super duper quiet, and all the people that live around me are they tend to mostly own their family homes, like for generations, properties and stuff. So there's not a lot of turnover. There's not a lot of people moving in and out. So it's a quiet place.
Yeah,
But
and you seem to like it, right? So
I like it, but as once we have the baby, it'll be more difficult to manage that kind of from here to the street kind of trip, because since it's not developed, when it rains, some of the streets get kind of flooded.
Yes.
And that makes it difficult to just kind of walk around for me. So having a kid in a stroller or something like that, it's going to be tougher. So eventually we're not going to stay here long term. I want to obviously do what a lot of people do when they come here, is buy a property. And hopefully, I don't really want to do the whole build a house thing, because there's so many, you can open up so many can of worms doing that. And I've known people that have done it, and it's turned into be like a financial nightmare in some cases. Some cases it works out great, but I'd be the one that would get, in that terrible situation. So I prefer to just buy a place that has, a structure already, that I can have it inspected and make sure that, there's no huge issues, and do that route, as opposed to build on something. But eventually we're going to do that. And I think I'm thinking about Masbate long term.
Okay.
Yeah.
How far is that from you?
Well, on the ferry, it's 8 hours.
I know Masbate, yes. Okay. Yes. We talked about that. I think we had a little brief conversation about that.
I think so, yeah.
And now now I'm picturing where it is. Okay. That'll be good.
But I'm not settled to that idea, but I want to go check it out and see if I like it. But I know I'll like it. I know if I went to Laguna, I'd like it. Anywhere that I go, I'm gonna like. But what attracts me to Masbate, the name Masbate means gold. Okay, and there's a town called Placer Masbate, so it's gold. And my dog's name is Goldie, so I'm like, come on. I'm attracted to it, for those kind of reasons. I'd like to buy property there and develop, do a farm kind of thing, and also do other things with that farm. So we'll see, but so far it seems to be where I'm gravitating towards, but that doesn't mean that I'll end up settling there. But it's the first on my list anyways.
Correct. And that's I've noticed since I've been here. Oh, my family has a land here. I have a land here. You should buy like this. You should buy this property. My answer every time. Thank you. I may look at it just to make them happy.
Right.
But I always tell them, God will find me the perfect place to live on His. And sometimes they don't understand that concept, but if I'm in the area and for a certain amount of time and I don't like it, I don't want to be stuck in that location. It has to be, totally perfect, right? Just like us, we want to live in a destination closer to us. I think it's in Laguna, but it's like the more higher end and higher standard living.
Yeah.
It's in either Santa Rosa or Nuvali. But like I said, it's more expensive to live, a little more crowded because it's more, as they say, in the cut or in away from everybody. So, and then there's traffic coming from there into the Laguna.
Right.
But that's what we want to do. That's where we want to look and buy some property. But if we go there and we look at it and we don't like it, or it's too much for what we're looking for, I don't want to live there. So that's why we're that's the beauty. Like I told her, especially when we're living here full time and we have this pension, we can go anywhere we want because we'll have money, we have time, and God will give us the perfect place that's best for us. Whether that's in the beach, whether that's close to the mountain. I don't want to live in a big city. I can't do that anymore. I don't like
Right.
the traffic and the smog and a lot of people. Nothing against people, but being around a lot of people all the time anymore.
Sure.
More peace of mind.
Right.
So
I
I'm like you. I'm like you. God will lead me in the right place to where we find is perfect. Or who knows if we go Cebu and we like Cebu, we don't know that yet, right? We don't know.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
bad.
Cebu's kind of more expensive. Like this field that I forget how much because they sell it by the square meter, right? And I forget what the lady told me, but I compared it to other places, and it was like double the price. So, Cebu is a little bit more expensive in that sense. So, yeah. So, like, Masbate is one of the statistically, it's one of the more poorer provinces. So that kind of makes the prices a little bit better too. That's kind of that's another reason why I'm looking at it, is because it seems per meter it's about half. And maybe I'm wrong exactly, so don't quote me on it, but it's significantly less than Cebu. So,
which is good.
Has a lot of pros, but then too, it's also one of the higher crime rates. So there's a lot of pros and there's some cons too.
Yeah, just like everywhere, I guess you can say. Why is there so much crime there?
Well, I don't know. I would assume that, since it's one of the less lucrative places, people are struggling more, But I bet you, everywhere that I've, like even before I came to Cebu, people were telling me, yeah, well, you were in the province before. And now that you're coming to Cebu, you got to be careful. You got to hold your cell phone. You got to don't walk around, with your cell phone in your ear taking pictures. Dude, that's all I do when I have a gimbal and I'm holding my phone and and I'm filming, and not a problem, but if you go on a jeepney, you're going to get mugged.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Come on. So, so when they say Masbate has a high crime rate or something, I take all that stuff with a grain of salt, because compared to what? It's like that video that I made. Comparing to United States to here is usually a good trade, So they say high crime in Masbate, but what are they talking about? How serious is that compared to the other place in the Philippines that has low crime? So the crime must be not that bad, right? Statistically, the probability of it being really high is compared to what we're used to is probably nothing,
Yeah,
I don't know. That's why I got to see it.
That's all we can do.
Yeah, right.
Go there and explore and
check it out.
Check it out and see if it's good or not.
That's right. But I know I'll like it. I know if I go anywhere, I would like it. So,
everywhere in the Philippines is good. Just about
everywhere I've ever been has been great. So,
correct. So here's a question. Okay, so you live in 2 places in Philippines in your life, right?
Well, we stayed in a few different places up, my ex and I, but in the general area.
So besides the issue, what everything happened, right? In your opinion, what area you like better, where you used to live or the Cebu area right now, and why? Just for people to hear, because they may never have been to either one.
Well, there were different dynamics. Large family, lived there forever, and so they were all well known. And
No. Pretend you didn't know them. You're just living there your own.
oh, well, I don't know. That's hard to say. Compared to this place that I have right now, because I don't know anybody, I would say that I like this place. But had I rented a different place, more in the city, I probably wouldn't like it as much. So I like the outskirts of Cebu, I guess, Cebu City. Yeah,
And
I
like
don't
you
know.
said, too far from it anyway to the city. If you ever want to go there and shop or do what you need to do, right? Shopping or
Yeah,
small.
yeah,
Comparing, I don't know how big of a place it is you used to live and how far it is from everything. Some some places in Philippines are far from other cities, right?
right. Well, yeah. And see, this is Mactan Island. So when you get off the airplane, you land on Mactan Island. So um, there's still a lot of malls and everything. I mean, there's malls everywhere in the Philippines, but on this side of the bridge, you have access to everything. So technically, I don't really ever need to go to Cebu City if I don't want to. But everybody goes to things like the meet and greets and everything. They're always over there, and my dentist was over there, and she's going to get some dental work, so we're going to be going over there, and but everything that we need is on Mactan Island here and at our disposal. So it kind of gives us, it cancels out our need to ever really go to Cebu City because everything's here too. So
Yes, it's great.
uh,
Yeah, it's great. The different.
oh, it's so hot. Well, I got everything turned off because it makes too much noise.
I know.
So
I'm part two, and it's hot out here.
I got to get some fresh air. That's the cool part about my balcony here is it's set kind of in a spot where there's a lot of breeze, so I can come out and get a little bit
Oh
of
yeah,
free aircon.
free air gun.
That's what I always call it. Like when it rains, dude, you can feel it. Like the temperature before it rains here, you'll feel a difference in temperature. Like I don't know how much, but you'll feel it. And then I've learned that once I feel that drop, I look up to the sky and I'm like, oh yeah, it's gonna rain. So, and
I
when it
can tell.
rains, that's why I say it's air conditioning.
Yeah, I can tell that here too. And it drops a few. I don't know, Celsius or degrees.
Yeah.
You get air and it feels good. Yeah, you can
I
definitely.
wonder. I'm wondering about this live thing right now, like, because usually my subscribers jump onto it. I wonder if it's not notifying them.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I was wondering about that.
Because like I've done 2 lives, and I don't get a ton of people coming on there, but they pop in and they pop out. Like the first one I did, I had like 15. I think that's what the stats were, and then the last one I did, I had a lot more. It was like 22 while I was live. So, and so far, the people that have popped in here have been all your people. So, I wonder if it's not telling my peeps.
Yeah, you would think it would be the same. I'm wondering, like, if I can post this afterwards. Not sure. Yeah, me too. Like, I know when I went on Sunshine Shoulders,
YouTube, paid.
I know when I went on Sunshine Shoulders live stream, um, I wasn't able to put mine on there. It's breaking up. There's like a lag here. Maybe being outside sucks. I don't know.
Hear me now?
Oh yeah.
So maybe book live. This is what I'm thinking. I don't know because it's still new.
Yeah.
Suppose you invite, it should book as a free membership. It doesn't allow you to, as the guest, to what is it as well. But that's talking about.
Ah. I just knocked over a bottle.
Oh,
Okay, that's a problem. Where's my shoes? Nope. Nope. Kitty. Yeah, I don't like the sound of that. I can't. Not right now. I don't think it's charged.
real travel. Looking. On here, let me go.
Oh no. Oh well. I hope so. That'd be cool. Gotta charge this gimbal.
So yeah, looks like you can share. Okay, sweet. Yeah, if I could afford $20 a month, I would definitely and then had more subscribers and wanted to do more lives. I would definitely pay that 20 a month. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Since it's kind of out.
Yeah, right. Well, my thing is I got a small town bank, and if I do, it's really hard for me to connect to them from here, and so I don't really have the ability to do those kind of transactions right now. Yeah, I don't know. Like I have another YouTube channel, and I can't even access it right now because of I don't know the password. And to get a password sent means I have to access my email on that channel, and I can't do it from here because they don't recognize my IP address. So I have to like make a phone call to my bank and all this, and I'm not even trying to call anybody in the States. Forget about it. Move.
Maybe what we can do, if you want, um, just thinking, since since this doesn't count for you, we can do another one on your channel sometime if you want.
Yeah. Hmm.
As well,
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
kind of work. If you have the money coming in, like you know what I mean. But especially if you're getting
Definitely.
paid on YouTube, and that's a write off anyway, right?
Right.
That's business expense.
Hmm.
But we'll cross that line when we get there. Because that's
Yeah.
such an awesome feature where you both the people get credit, and then you can. I think if you the $20 one, you can have up to 12 people on the panel at one time. So imagine we have 12 uh, content creators doing the live together, and we all get credit on our own channel,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So something to think about later on in the future.
Yeah. And you heard about the change to the YouTube, right? 500. Yeah. With the 500. Oh, no. I need, I need several hundred more hours. I'm over, I think I have like 2,100 or something. So I'm pretty close. Yeah. But it's 500 subscribers and 3,000 hours. Yeah. No, no, I'm going to take advantage of it as soon as I can. But because like all it would take is one more video to get like 5,000 views. Because like I had I've had two videos, or I've had more than two videos that have done pretty good. But seems like when I get one, like the last one that I had 500 or 5,000 views, it got almost 600 watch hours just for that one video. So,
Wow.
yeah, so if I can just get one more video like that, then I'd be pretty much set. But
You'll
I
get
did kind of a clickbait title, and I don't really like doing that, but I know that I could do that again. Although I've tried it again since then and it didn't really work. So, I don't really know what works and what doesn't. It's just up to the viewers, I guess. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. I know, right? Dude, I have one. I told you this last time, but it's still growing. I think it's up to like 13, almost 14,000 views now. It's had like, I don't know how many shares, I forget, but many, many shares. But it's a short, so you don't get the credit for the watch hours. But that's the
But the
problem with
subscribe the
yeah, you get
subscribers.
subscribers. But that's also the downside too. Is a lot of the shorts viewers don't tend to click on your long content.
Correct. That's why it's a process, right? Like
Mhm.
you said, just keep
Yeah,
inconsistent.
yeah. Well, I like doing the shorts. It seems like if you do the shorts and you get like 3,000 views or 2,000, a lot of people will subscribe from that. But do they stick around? Is what I don't know yet. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're frozen. I got a side profile view of you, and it's just sitting in the.
Oh, no.
Probably. There you are.
Yes. I gotta open my door because the Wi-Fi is like outside. It's weird. The
Mhm.
router,
Right.
because we're in an apartment and then we share. There's one downstairs where you share it with one, two, four people, and then there's one upstairs where they share it with three people or something along those lines.
Hmm.
And then everyone's probably off work or out of school, and if you close the door, it slows the internet down, and then everyone's
Yeah.
on using it. But yes.
Yeah.
So you wanna do another live about different topic next time, but on your
Huh?
you want to do another live next time on your channel in a different
Sure.
topic.
Sounds good.
Both of us, even though we're doing it through the YouTube app, might as well use that stream. Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, we'll use that StreamYard software, and then we'll try to get a maybe to build this what we're trying to do, right? And then invite two or three other content creators, and then each week we do like a live.
Yeah. Right.
So we can have more people on it and have more of a discussion and different topics, and everyone can see the different names of the creators. What do you think?
Yeah. It's a good idea.
Yeah, that'd be good. Because this is like kind of like a little test run to see if we both get credit and testing it out and seeing how it operates, right? But I like
Yeah.
it. It's cool. And I like collaborating on lives with people once in a while is good. And building the community, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'll try inviting some other people next time, and then you have the software already downloaded, the StreamYard.
No.
Oh, okay. We'll talk to some other people. I'll talk to the guy Mark.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yes, little by little, we got it. All
It's a
right.
marathon, not a race.
Yeah. Yes, it's a doing it. That's it.
That's right.
Yeah. So since my internet's slow, let's call this live, and then we'll regroup, and then figure out the next move coming up.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
So all the viewers, yeah, you too, all the viewers, if you haven't already and you're watching, subscribe to Philippines Extremes,
And subscribe to
give them a
Majo
like, thumbs
Travel.
up. Yes, yeah. Philippines Extremes is a cool guy. Good, gives good information about Philippines and America, and helps the people down in the Cebu area. So if you want to collaborate with him too, reach out.
Same thing with
He's a
Majo
good guy.
Travel. He's a great guy. Got to collab with him. He's trying to push the envelope here and do some good things. So collaborate with him and we'll all help each other out.
Yes, sir. I'm about
So
to take
thanks
care
for
of him.
watching, everybody.
Yes. Bye bye.
Adios.
Sige na. Sige na.
Sige na.
Sinigang.